Tipoff 2023-2024. Ron Poniewasz is joined by Professor Larry Kelly, and he is the member of the Luxembourg Garbett Kelly and George law firm and assistant baseball coach at Penn State Shenango, former varsity baseball coach at Shenango, and a ninth grade basketball coach at Newcastle. And you are watching the award-winning Tipoff Show. Larry, welcome aboard.
I want you to include in my biography the former head basketball coach of the Holy Redeemer 5th and 6th grade girls basketball team in Elwood City. I want you to include that.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
No, that's about it. That's
Okay.
about it. That's about it.
How about former water boy for Newcastle back in the day?
Now, I could fill that role too. Trust me.
Yeah.
I used to fill up some waters when I was coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did a little bit of everything.
Fill up the water and stay out of the way.
Yes. Yeah. I hear you. I did a lot of that too.
Yep. All right. So we have a couple segments for everybody this week. We have Athlete of the Week, and young man performed very well for his team in 2 basketball games last week. And we have some topics to go over, a few of them, including an interesting one that I'll be anxious to see, Larry's take on it for sure, Larry's opinion. So, but first, we have Athlete of the Week, and it is Union High's Lucas Stanley, a 6'2" junior guard forward. Last week, he had 24 points in a 70-20 win over Cornell. He also had 36 points in a 67-48 win over Western Beaver. So 2 very nice performances last week for the Scotties from Lucas Stanley.
The Stanley boys, there's been many of them, and they're fantastic athletes, just like their father. And, it doesn't surprise me that yet another Stanley, Lucas, is lighting it up for the Union Scotties. When you score half the team's points in a 67-48 win, you're doing something special. And the Stanley boys have been doing special things in Union for a long time, Ronnie, a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Prior to those 2 games that counted for the stretch that is Athlete of the Week, our periods go from Monday to Sunday is how we do Athlete of the Week. But prior to that, in the game that did not fall in that stretch, he had a 40-point effort. So he had a 3-game stretch where he had 100 points in 3 games.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Yeah, the young man could play. He can light it up. As I said, he had a couple brothers that played, and his father was a tremendous athlete. I think his mother was a tremendous athlete too. So there's good pedigree in the Stanley family.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, he's averaging 21.6 points a game is Lucas Stanley. He's played in 19 of the team's 21 games and missed 2 games around the holiday break. So that's why he's played 19 out of the 21 games. So he's going to be one of the players certainly that Union will turn to as they head into the postseason. Yeah,
and they will need him to contribute a large amount of points moving forward. But it's not good when one player gets half the points. It just isn't. You need balance. You can put a stop on one player. It's hard to put a stop on 2 and 3. And, he's a great player. But I'm sure if you would ask his father, he'd like a little more balanced scoring attack for Union moving forward.
Interesting that you say that, because Tuesday's game, a 53-47 loss to Rochester. And I remember I said he scored 100 points in 3 games. Rochester held him to 7 points. And Rochester went on the road and won at Union on Tuesday night, 53-47.
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often. But again, you can put the stop on one guy. You just can. If you're a good coach and everybody has tendencies and, you can put a game plan in and put the stop on one player. You double team them. You take away what they like to do best. But when you have 2 or 3 guys that can score and score consistently, it just makes your team better.
Mm-hmm. Union is 7-2 in Section 1-1A action and 11-10 overall. As we film this Thursday night, their final regular season game, final section game also is Friday night, 7:30 at Avella. So Union will be playing that game naturally for seeding purposes. You get a win, and we're probably talking about maybe a 6 seed, 5 seed, somewhere in that neighborhood, and a solid number 2 spot out of the league.
I wouldn't want to play Union as a 6 seed. I just wouldn't. They're too good. They started the season again. They're football guys. It took a while for them to get their basketball legs. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with moving forward. And they're good. They're good.
Yeah, I don't think I think if Rochester loses, certainly, and Union wins, they'd force a tie atop the section and split the section title. But I don't know who Rochester plays, so it might be a fact that Rochester's probably going to win also, and get the number 1 spot out of the league in any event.
Did Rochester sweep the season series against Union?
They did not. Union won at Rochester. I believe it
Yeah.
It was 70-40.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So you never know. You never know. But hey, you just want to get in the tournament. It doesn't matter where you get seeded. It really doesn't. It's nice to be a high seed because for the last several years, the higher seed got a home game. And there's a big advantage, as we spoke about in the past, to playing basketball games at home. I do believe that at least in the first round that the higher seed will get a home game. So that's an advantage. Other than that, get me in the tournament. Let's see where the chips fall.
Okay, I will write that down. We will add that to our list of topics. It doesn't matter where you are seated. I will write that down in between segments, Larry.
It doesn't. Again, you might have been playing poorly at the beginning of the year, and there could be a lot of reasons for that. Maybe you had players who were injured. Maybe you had football guys coming off a long football season, and as I said, yet to have their basketball legs. The key is not how good you're playing in the first week in December. It's how good you're playing in the latter part of February and the first week in March. And, that's the key to coaching. Basketball's a long season. You want to get incrementally better with each and every passing game, because once you get in the tournament, as I said, after the first game, it's neutral courts, and anything can happen.
Okay. All right. Well, we have one more segment. It will be our topic segment. We will do that next right here on Tipoff.
We all know there's an advantage to being the home team, to playing at home. And at LGKG, we have been your home team for personal injury cases involving automobile accidents and workers' compensation claims for over 90 years. At LGKG, over 10,000 clients have trusted us to represent them. We know how to present your case to a Western Pennsylvania jury. We know what makes them tick. We know how to win.
Okay, we're back with you here on Tip-Off, and we have a few topics to go over. I have a feeling that Larry will be in his customary white hat role, and I'll be wearing my black hat role at some point.
You're pretty good at that role. It fits you perfectly.
Yeah, I do what I can. So if I was a pro wrestler, I'd be a heel.
Yeah, you'd be. Yes, exactly. And I'd be Bruno. I'd be Bruno Sammartino. Everybody loved Bruno.
Give me an illegal foreign object, a steel chair, some barbed wire. I'll be happy.
Yeah, right. That's right up your alley.
All right. First off, Larry, kind of a tame topic. We're going to talk about the playoffs. They're approaching. We have 9 WPIAL teams in. On the boys' side, we have Elwood, Mohawk, Neshannock, Shenango, and Union. On the girls' side, we have Elwood, Mohawk, Neshannock, and Union. There's really no more jockeying outside of the fact that Newcastle is still on the bubble, the boys. And we'll talk about the boys, Newcastle boys here, in just a moment. But for those 9 teams, Larry, they got postseason basketball right around the corner. So, what do you need to see from them between now and the first playoff game in terms of practice and working on things and things of the like?
Well, you want to finish strong. At Newcastle, we always wanted to finish strong. And then, you're going to have a scrimmage somewhere between your last game and your first playoff game. And again, you want to work on execution. You want to keep your intensity up. You want to stay healthy. You want to give the guys a little better rest. You can't go into the playoffs with tired legs. And, you want to get ready. The coaches will be reviewing tape as soon as pairings come out, you start reviewing tape, you start reviewing film, getting ready for your opponent. It's an exciting time. We always at Newcastle, the staff, we go out for dinner after the pairings meetings and share a few laughs and eat a good meal. But after that, it was all business, man. It was serious business. And, we would get ready to roll. And at Newcastle, there was always a target on our back, always. We were everybody's biggest game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, naturally, Larry, you were a ninth grade basketball coach, not a varsity basketball coach, but a lot of times when I do talk to varsity coaches, they will complain that if they got a 9 seed, they would have thought they would have got the 7 seed or the 8 seed or what have you. And you just said in the previous segment, seeding doesn't matter as long as you get in. But we do run across coaches that will complain about their seed. Any particular reason why that would be on their end?
I think it's just it's a sign of disrespect. Maybe they thought they had a better season and maybe their team didn't get the respect that they thought they deserved. And, you can use that to your advantage in getting your team ready. You know what I mean? Again, I don't think it matters. Other than that first game, when now you get a home game, I don't think it matters. And, listen, I experienced all those playoff runs because after my season was over, my ninth grade season would be over that first week in February. And then I'd help out with the varsity. I'd go to the practices and, of course, I'd be on the bench come game time, and I will have reviewed the same films that the coaches have. And, it's just a sign of respect. And sometimes you feel you've been slighted a little bit with your seed. But I know at Newcastle, of course, we were always the number 1 seed. So I shouldn't say that. Sometimes we were 2. Very seldom we were very lower than that. But it didn't matter to us. It really didn't.
Mm-hmm. Mini Red Hurricane moment for you, Larry. Newcastle's 3-6 in Section 1-6A, 14-7 overall. The Red Hurricane must beat Seneca Valley on Friday night, 7:30 p.m. at the Fieldhouse. Seneca Valley 2-7 in league, 6-15, in order to lock up a playoff spot. Your thoughts on that game?
We're going to win. We're not getting beat at home by Seneca Valley. That's just not happening. I didn't see the game. I didn't watch it, the Pine Richland game, but I did look at the box score, and there was a couple things that stood out to me. Pretty much all season, I've been telling you that the Hurricane, they got to get the ball in the paint and they got to get to the foul line. You can't always live and die with this 3-point shot. They shot 25 foul shots against Pine Richland, 25. And what was really impressive to me, showing that, maybe Coach Belundo watches our show. I don't know. Ralphie Belundo had 34 points and only 2 3-pointers. And I think as a team, they might have had 3, which tells me a couple things. They're getting the ball in the paint. They're running good offense. And when you run good offense and get the ball in the paint, you go to the line. They went to the line 25 times, not 25 times. They shot 25 foul shots. That might be a season high this year. And that makes me smile. It does. That makes me smile because it tells me that we're doing a lot of good things offensively. And of course, defensively, the last 2 games, we've been pretty stout. And just like I said, it doesn't matter where you get seated. If we get in, which we're going to get in, nobody's going to want to play Newcastle. Nobody is going to want to play Newcastle in that first round. So I don't care if we're a 14 seed. Call us what you want. No, you know how it works. If we're like a 14 seed, the 3 seed's going to have to play us. They don't want Newcastle. No, that's their worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go from this side of it. A lot of times you hear when you're watching a game that this team or that team has been playing playoff games, in theory, quote unquote playoff games for a couple games or a couple weeks, whatever the case may be. Let's look at the NFL, like the Buffalo Bills. They went from probably a 10 or 11 seed all the way into the postseason as a 2 seed, this year. So, Larry, to bring it back toward basketball, let's say Newcastle does get in, as you say they will. at some point, does that wear on you? That pressure game by game for that long?
I don't think it wears on you. I think it sharpens the steel. You know what they say about the hardest steel is made in the hottest fire. And Newcastle, for the last 2 weeks, have been playing playoff games. Had we lost to Central Catholic, had we lost to Pine Richland on the road, season's over. And that those were two absolute positive. You can say something's a must-win game, but these two were must-win because one more loss and we were done. No, I think it gets you ready. It sharpens your focus. And, at Newcastle and, while I was the head coach at Chenango, we talked about laser focus. There's nothing more important in any athletic contest than be laser focused on your job, on your execution, on what you need to do and what your assignments are. And when that focus gets sharpened, it's like a habit. Good habits like bad habits, Ronnie, they're hard to break. And Newcastle's developed a pretty good habit, both on the offensive end and the defensive end in the last two games. And they're really focused now. And I think they're going to be a tough out moving forward. I'm telling you. And I'm not just being a homer here. Listen, I love Newcastle. Everybody knows that. But I've been watching this team. I haven't been to a lot of games, but I watch a lot on the streaming services. They're getting better. And as I said, they shot 25 foul shots against Pine Richland. That's telling me they're running some pretty good offense, getting the ball in the paint. Ralphie had 34 points, only 2 3-pointers. The only thing that's a little bit worrisome is he had half the team's points again. A good coach isn't going to let him do that. They're gonna double him off the dribble. They're going to get up in his grill and not let him shoot that three. And if he puts it on the floor, they're going to double him and make him give it up. I mean, that's what's going to happen. I like to believe that, listen, nobody's ever going to confuse me with John Wooden, you understand? But that's what I would do, Garden Ralphie. I mean, I've watched him enough to know you can't let him get in the paint because he got that runner that's deadly. And you can't give him room 5-6 feet beyond the 3-point line because he'll bury it. So, coaches watch film. He's going to need help, because I can't believe these coaches are still going to let him score half the points. They're going to do things defensively to try to stop that.
Okay. Transition to the one where possibly we wear different hats on this one. To tell the story, Larry, last Saturday, we were scheduled to have one basketball game submitted. And that game was Neshannock boys at Ambridge. And when I came in Sunday morning, we did not have the box score. So I emailed the assistant coach that always turns in box scores, and he said Ambridge had to cancel because Ambridge overbooked their season. So fast forward to, about a half hour later, as I'm, going through email, and we have a box score that magically appears from Wilmington that we did not have on the schedule, which that happens a lot because schools, pretty much don't tell us when they're playing and stuff like that, which is why we don't run the high school schedule in the paper. But so when we contacted Nick Marmo, the game was postponed on January 4th, put on Saturday. We had it scheduled on February 12th. The February 12th game was told to be canceled. So as I type up the roundup, I see they are 0-19. And I look and say, I wonder how many games they have left. It's got to be to the end because District 10 goes beyond the WPIAL season in terms of regular season. Well, they have 4 games left. 4. 19 plus 4 in a private school math, Larry, that I went to, 19 and 4 is 23. That is overbooking. That's 2 schools, Ambridge and Wilmington, overbooking on the same weekend. I don't think I've ever encountered that, and it happened literally on the same weekend.
I think the limit's 22. You can only play 22 games, and I don't know how that happens. I really don't. You're not permitted to play 23. I don't have any explanation for that. I mean, maybe the athletic director has an explanation for that, but that should not happen. That should not happen. That really shouldn't. And I mean. Look, they should get the Newcastle News to schedule. They should make every effort to do that because it only benefits their school, their young men and young women. It gives them, additional publicity for their hard work and efforts that they put in. So, if I was an athletic director, I'd make sure Ron Poniewasz had my schedule and had my scores. I would do that. But then again, I gave you my scores last year, and you had my record wrong at Shenango baseball. You said, I can't take your scores. I got to take the Post-Gazette scores. I'm not beholden to the Post-Gazette. I'm a Newcastle News guy.
That's where we get our records from, their standings page.
You got them from the horse's mouth. I gave you my record.
If
you
we
cost my guys 2 wins.
Yeah, if we asked for it, we got it, But going back to this, Larry, in terms of how I see it, that's a what kind of poor management by a schedule. That needs to have 2 sets of eyes on it for overbooking, the head coach and the athletic director. It has to start before the season when the schedule is done and it's blessed by the coaches and AD. Okay, it fits in and doesn't overbook. And then at some point, maybe at the midway point, and then as you get closer to the end of the season, you have to have eyes on that and say, hey, we've overbooked ourselves, especially with that Wilmington Portersville Christian game, which was non-region. Going into that one, you got to say, hey, we've overbooked, because they had 4 games left. Guess what happens to their final game of the regular season? It was a region game against Hickory. Hickory's coached by Chris Mell, a Union graduate, former Shenango girls basketball coach. That game is now a no contest. Imagine how PO'd Ron Poniewasz would be if I'm in a region championship chase and I have a game that is ruled a no contest out of ignorance because you have overbooked. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it happens. I really don't. That's a great question. How does that happen? Everybody can count to 22. I don't know how that happens. Maybe there's an explanation. Maybe you're playing in a Christmas tournament where there's an extra game added to the schedule somewhere along the way, but that normally isn't the case. Christmas tournaments, you're playing 2 games. That, but I don't know how that happens, Ronnie. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
I polled 2 coaches in the area, and one of them said that this happened before with their program, but they caught it. The other coach said, no, I know how to count to 22. We're not going to violate the, we know what the rules are. So again, it's poor management of a schedule that would happen for a 0-19 team. It wouldn't happen to a school like Mark Stanley's team or Luann Grabowski's team or Michael Lair's team, what have you. Teams that have success, they know what they're doing.
Well, again, success is dependent upon players, Ronnie. You got to have players. You can't win without them. I coached a long, long time, and good coaches win with good players. If you don't have good players, the fact that you're 0-19, doesn't mean that you're not a good coach. It means that you just don't have a lot of talent to coach up. At least that's my view. So, it shouldn't happen. I mean, I don't know how it does. I really don't know how that happens. That schedule is set at the beginning of the year. There are modifications. It happens during the course of the year, more so in baseball than in basketball because of rainouts and things like that. But you'd have to talk to an athletic director and ask them, how is it possible that this occurred?
Yeah. Okay. And our final topic here, we're going to sort of stay with Wilmington, the boys basketball team. Larry, I saw yesterday, as we're filming this Thursday. So yesterday on Wednesday, District 10 had its opt-outs for boys. And the District 10 playoff landscape is everybody gets in unless they, make it known that they want to opt out. Sort of like Ohio, only everybody goes. There's no opting out in Ohio. You're in and that's it. There is no opting out. But here's your District 10 opt-outs, and tell me if there's somebody that is noticeably missing from what I say. Boys: Jamestown, Union City, Reynolds, Titusville, and Northwestern. Anybody missing that?
Well, you're telling me Wilmington doesn't want to opt out, notwithstanding the fact that are they winless this season? Is that what you're telling me?
0-20.
Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, we had this conversation last year, and I know you and I disagreed, I think, on, how to handle it. But, if I have a team that's 0-20, I might leave it up to my players. Hey, guys, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to play it? If you want to play it, I'm in. But if your heart isn't in this, then we're not going to do it. I might leave it up to my players.
I guess the reason I'm bringing it out to your attention, not from the standpoint of do you want to play or do you not want to play. If you remember a few years ago, the Wilmington girls basketball team was kind of like teetering on the 500 record. If you remember, we debated this.
I remember. They wanted to play, and the school board said no.
Yeah, and they were teetering on 500. They were teetering on 500 in region and overall. 0-20, and they're allowed to go play. Imagine if Larry Kelly, you are a parent of a girl that was playing that year, or Larry Kelly, you were a member of a team that was told you have to opt out. And then a team a few years down the road from the same school says, 0-20, go play. Let's see what you do.
If I'm a parent, I keep my nose out of that. Yeah. The only thing that Larry and Marisa cared about when my girls played sports at Riverside, we cared about their academics. That's the only thing that's important. My girls weren't going to the WNBA, and they weren't going to play in college. The only thing we cared about was the academics. If they canceled the last basketball game, well, they canceled the last basketball game. I'm not going to take a hissy fit. But if they canceled the algebra class for the year, then I would take a hissy fit. It's all about academics. Parents should worry about school and not worry about whether or not their kid plays an extra basketball game. That's me talking. That's my opinion. That people may not agree with that, and I'm okay with that. But listen to me. I used to tell my kids at Chenango and at Newcastle, they'd say, geez, coach, you drive a really nice car. And my answer was always the same. Yes, I do. But it had nothing to do with my athletic ability. If you want to drive a nice car, be first team in the classroom, and you'll always drive a nice car. Parents ought to be more concerned about academics than athletics. That's my view.
Yeah. Well, I guess it comes off as they really are hell bent on playing a 23rd game. If you want to look at it.
Hey, I would leave it up to my players. Guys, you want to play? If you want to play, let's go. But tell me your heart's in. Tell me you're going to work hard over the week period of time where we're going to, when nobody plays to get ready. And if you're in, I'm in. That's the way I'd probably handle that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, here's the difference between Ohio and PA. Naturally, I graduated from an Ohio high school, and all my schools in Ohio were, is where I attended. I attended all Ohio schools all the way through college. But in high school in Ohio, it's tournament. But what they do is, okay, for the first round, let's say Wilmington is a 12 seed. I don't know how many teams there would be in the 3A bracket that they would be in. They would pair them with an 11 seed, and the winner would play the 1 seed. That's how it works in Ohio. In PA, it's basically going to be Wilmington's a 12 and you're going to play a 1. And at least in Ohio, you've got that chance of, okay, 11-12, this is your chance to get a win, and then you go play the big boys.
Yeah, it's almost like a playing game. I like that. I like that. That makes sense to me. It's almost like a playing game, like they do in the NCAA tournament. That way you can have some success in your playoff run, even if it's an 11-12 matchup. I like that.
Yeah,
I do.
All right. That's why we call him the professor. He takes us to school and instructs us on the ins and the outs of all things basketball.
Well, listen, I have opinions. Not everybody's going to agree with them, but I respect your opinion, even though I may disagree with it, Ronnie. In the world we live in, I may disagree with you, but I will fight for you to give that opinion anytime you want. That's what makes this country great. The ability to express your opinion, and everybody has that right.
We were on the same side of the board with overbooked games. It should not happen.
It should not happen. I agree with that. I don't know how that happens. Somebody's sleeping at the switch when that occurs.
And I tell you what, it's something when, number one, you've never heard of it before, and I'm sure it's might be under the table type stuff. it probably goes under the radar. But to have it happen twice on the same weekend, to me, that was stunning. Going overbooked game.
And again, you've been in this business for many, many years. How many times have you seen it happen other than this year?
None. That's what I say. I don't think I've ever witnessed it.
Yeah. I don't know how that happens, but I mean, everybody makes mistakes. My dad used to tell me the key to life is not in never making a mistake. The key to your success is don't make the same mistakes twice. So
right.
Let's hope somebody learned the lesson from this and it won't happen again.
Okay. Anything else you want to say, Larry, as we get ready to wrap up the regular season and head toward the playoffs?
Beware of the Red Hurricane, buddy. Listen, I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to play him. I wouldn't. We're getting better. And, when you got Coach Belando getting his guys ready, man, I would not want to play Newcastle in the first round or, quite frankly, in any round.
Yeah, they've got 14 wins to Seneca Valley's 6, which means not only is Ralph Belando your X factor, with great coaching and his staff, your team knows how to win. They've got 14 wins. The other team's got 6. So you know how to win. You know how to put the ball in the basket. You know how to play defense and keep the other team at bay.
Yeah, and when we lost at Seneca Valley, I don't know what happened. I didn't see that game. Rather surprising to me. But, in basketball, you still got to put the ball in the hoop. And sometimes you just have a bad shooting night. And if you do, anything can happen. But I don't expect that to happen on Friday at senior night. And the Red Hurricane will be ready. And I expect good things to happen.
Okay. All right. He's Larry Kelly. I'm Ron Poniewasz. Good luck to our teams as they close out the regular season. Best of luck to Newcastle on Friday night, although Larry will say they don't need luck. They're going to go out and win. So we will
put it in the book, Ronnie. If you can get a bet down, I know you like to bet. I know you like to fire. I'm telling you to bet the Red Hurricane.
Hey, I fired twice last night, and I needed to fire on another game, and I forgot about it. I had the Pelicans +7, and I had a money line against the Clippers, and that was easy peasy.
Were you 2 for 2 then, right?
I was 2 for 2 and took that extra $125 and put them into Super Bowl prop bets. I wish I would have had the Pistons against the Kings because there's what they call a Malinsky special. When teams come back from a long road trip and they go home for the first time. And I didn't hear about that one. I didn't realize the Kings were on a long road trip. I knew the Clippers were, and boy, that was.
Well, I'm here to tell you, if you can get a bet down on the Red Hurricane, bet that 125 you won on Newcastle on Friday night.
Okay, I have to bet an additional 125 because that 125 is already gone. It's already.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
All right, Larry. Hey, good luck to all our teams. We will see you back here next week. Thank you, Larry.
We all know there's an advantage to playing at home, to being the home team. At LGKG, we've been your home team personal injury attorneys for auto accident and workers' compensation cases for over 90 years. We know what works and how to win. We have all the credentials. At LGKG, we don't take every case. We handpick our clients so that we can give you the attention you deserve.